And just like that, we're live. Starla played the debate show, match day 3. Myself, Theo, got a full house. Basil, Damon, Kojo. How we doing, lads? How we doing?
Yeah, good, man. Good.
I'm doing good, you know. A slight buckle on my team on the weekend, but can't complain. Had a successful hate watch the day after, so all good.
I love that we call him a hate watch. I love that we call him.
Yeah,
Kojo, we're gonna get on to United in a minute. Obviously, thank you for joining us.
What's there to talk about?
There's a lot to talk about. That's the problem. Before we get into that, if you're watching this after the live stream, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the links in the description as well. Like the video, subscribe, share the videos, and all of that stuff as well. But we are going to talk about the previous weekend that's just gone. Well, not all of the Premier League results, but the majority of them. We're going to talk about a couple of them. We are going to start, obviously, the big game. Old Trafford, Mo Trafford. Liverpool 3, Manchester United. It should have been 4 to be. It could have been 4-5. But Liverpool 3, United 0. I'm going to give it over to Kojo first. I want to hear what Kojo has to say in terms of, could be short and sweet. It could be therapy time for Kojo. So I'm going to hand the floor to him.
Starts. We need to have the violins playing in the background.
I've got one in my pocket. Let me just get it out.
I'm not. Listen, I'm not you after an Arsenal loss, boy. Trust me, I'm the same. It's okay.
The floor is yours, man. I'm going to leave Damon to just brew. He's got his cup of tea there. He's got a cup of tea if anyone is watching. So I'm going to let him brew.
I got my Fanta here. Cheers.
Yeah. Go for it, man.
You got something stronger.
I mean, I'm a soft drink guy, so that's what I need, really.
You're a soft drink team, mate. You're a soft drink team.
Yeah, that makes sense, to be fair. Look, okay, before we go on United, we'll give the winners their praise because they didn't have to even be good, but they were good. And they took their chances when they needed to. And, you know, they won the game fair and square. They were deserved winners. They were the better team from, I think, since they scored their goal. Man United had the energy with the fans in the first 18 to 20 minutes. And then, you know, they scored their goal. That was still without foot offside because Salah had a little touch. But then they got the goal eventually through Luis Diaz. And then from there, it was plain sailing. So, you know, when they give their due. Now, I don't even know where you guys want me to start with these guys. What I will say is everything that I have said will come to fruition. Unfortunately, I'm sitting here saying that I'm right. Signing new players doesn't change who's at the helm and what he does, his behaviors, his choices in terms of selections, his choices in terms of subs. Some of the players that he's selecting have not been informed for about 18 to 24 months. But he keeps picking them. So you know, it's got to the point where I can't find any words to sort of be like, oh, but he done this and he done that. Someone came with the angle of, I think when we played Liverpool last at Old Trafford, I think they had like 60-70% possession and Man United dominated possession. If you look at the final stats, we had more possession than Liverpool and we had conceded less shots and all that. I was like, yeah, that's lovely, but you lost 3-0. So what does that mean? I don't understand when we want to do that information. That's like, oh yeah, you know, I broke up with one girl and, you know, I linked up a nicer one, but I'm still single. All right, so what progress did we make here, mate? You know, it's just another one of those things where you just go into a game and, you know, me and Damien were going to do a preview, and I started by actually talking about where Liverpool can hurt Man United, and then he started going on about, you know, where he thinks Liverpool can hurt Man United. He was going to go on about where we could potentially hurt them. And we got cut off. But I think we were along the same lines of, you know, knowing that Salah's going to have another day, Trent, you know, and the midfield. And I didn't think about Gravenberch, who, by the way, was fantastic. I was thinking more about McAllister, who is also a brilliant midfield. He had a good game as well, of course, but Gravenberch was running the show. But it's the same old with United, same old with Ten Hag. I've already said that even after the cup final, he had to go. Look, it gets to a point where I'll put it to you guys like this. He signed Euro injured, so Euro can't play. He signed De Ligt, Xerxes, and didn't play them in the first game until later on when Xerxes came off the bench and scored the winning goal. And his reward was starting on the bench in the second game. as was the debate.
Mm.
And then United lose against Brighton, and then he decides, of course, to start the Ligt and Xerxes finally. But then what he does is drop the player who was one player of the month for you in Ahmad onto the bench. Guys, we're dealing with a fool here. We're dealing with a fool. This is what it is. We're dealing with a fool. We call this the bold Dutch derby, and there's only one bold Dutchman winning right now.
I'm a bit surprised because also he's not given Anthony a chance. I thought we would have mentioned him.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Let me get the violin out again. Let me get the violin.
We're not doing that today. Listen, Basil, I can't see you, but I can see you. We're not doing that today, yeah?
The thing is, though, John, the maddest thing is, I don't get, you know, when I look at, like, I can talk about Chelsea, I can talk about Tottenham, and we're all probably in the same kind of mess for other reasons and different reasons, or probably similar reasons. But you see, United, I don't get it. I don't get what you're trying to do on the pitch. I don't get it. I don't get.
Oh no, because there's been no plan. Look. I was asked today about Rashford and why do I think he's had a dip in form after a good first year. Man United came out after Ole and got a man who essentially played the same style. It was a counter-attacking thing, and it worked. It worked with Rashford. And then when I say, fetch football, woof football, I'm not. It sounds banterous, but I'm deadly serious. Man United are using Rashford as essentially I'm going to hit the ball long, and you're going to run for that, my friend. Go and get that ball. That's the kind of football that they've gone from one to the other, and it doesn't work.
Do you think he's just burnt out now, though? In terms of he looks like he's lost a yard of pace. He just looks burnt out at the start of the season. You're only 3 games in.
You can't expect consistency from players when you don't have a consistent environment around you. For all of Eric, of all of the mess which FSG do for Liverpool, at least they had a manager who was certified in his ways and knew what he was doing from start to finish. So as the squad progressed and got better, the methods stayed the same. At least they knew what they're dealing with. In United, they don't allow, and listen, not that I want Ten Hag to stay, but they don't allow continuity in a manager. So Rashford has come in, and he came under Van Gaal. He's had Mourinho, he's had Carrick, he's had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he had Erik Ten Hag. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, and they're all different as well. Different styles, different philosophies. So there's not one level of continuity. I'm not saying Slot and Klopp are the same, but at least when you're seeing the football, there isn't too much difference. I think what the difference is that when Liverpool smelt blood under Klopp, they go for 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what I mean? Whereas with Slot, they're a bit, I won't say laid back, but it's a bit more composed. They slow the ball down a little bit when they want to, and then they can hit you and kill you when they want to, kind of thing. But there's continuity there, and there's a squad there that has had continuity for years. So even though they lost Firmino and Mane, behind them, you still had Ederson, you still had Van Dijk. Your spine has remained. And when you lost in midfield, you built one quickly, gave it a year to work out, and now you can see the thing moving. And you don't get that. United do this. They have players that are inconsistent that have been there for years or just injury prone. And then they bring in new players who they hope will be the saviors. Hope the Ligt will instantly improve the defense like that. Say for Martinez, like that. They're hoping that Ugarte will solve the Casemiro problem. And Casemiro had a shocker, came off, and nothing changed.
Yeah, but do you reckon that's down to who they brought on? The youngster, I can't remember his name.
It's because no matter who they bring on, there's no plan. It doesn't look like they know what they're doing. There's no structure there. Collier is a defensive midfielder who was creating chances up front for Xerxes. Are you Casemiro is supposed to be your number 6 against Fulham. He was creating the most chances for you in the game. So clearly there is no idea as to where people should be. The players are going on the pitch and they're freestyling. We're doing Tony Hawk, we're doing SSX on PS1. You know what I mean? We're snowboarding and just doing skills in the air, moving the sticks anyhow. And then when we get close to the floor, we say, "Oh wait, I need to stop." That's what we're doing here. You know what I mean? So, look, I could go on and on. This is just something that I've known for a long time. But when it goes to a big game like this, it screams at you because people maybe when they lose to a smaller side, it's more of the banterous side, but they're like, United have the same issues. When it comes to a Liverpool or a City, instead of talking about the winners, we're listening to Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher screaming at each other for half an hour about what's wrong with United, and they don't realise that after 5 years, they're still screaming about the same damn things.
I don't think Carragher is though. I think Carragher's trying to talk sense into Neville. Like from what I listened to the other day.
But Carragher does the same thing with nonsense for Liverpool, because when Neville tells him that FSG need to go, he now comes to do defence. They're both nonsensical people for either side. It's easier when you are criticising the ops, because you can see the problem.
You can't look in the mirror and face your own problems at the same time.
Exactly. I'm saying, you know what I mean? And it's nice with Liverpool because he's got a team that he can look at and say they're good, but he refuses to admit that these guys, as good as Liverpool have been, Liverpool can be even greater if these guys don't hold them back. He struggles with that fact. And whilst Neville can go and say what he says about Man United ownership, he gets on the players, but not as much as he should do. He still holds back. He's still holding back. He should be telling them, guys, this is not, he should be like Patrice Evra telling them, listen, if I was in the dressing room,
slap you up.
I'll slap them. You know what I mean? Because that's what they need. They'll slap. But look, it's same old, man. So look, congratulations to Liverpool, but nothing changes United, man.
I did find it funny when Gary Neville said, he was talking about Rashford, about something. He said, the young lad Rashford. I had to go and Google how old Rashford was. I thought Rashford was still like 19. Like, is he talking about? Yeah, he's 27. You can't call him a young lad anymore. He should be one of the leaders in that team now. He should be at the peak of his career, the one that you kind of build the team around, or you want to make something happen in the game. And we still talk about him like he just broke through the squad like last year. So
can I ask you guys a question? Because I mean, Liverpool, Damon will know for Liverpool, and he knows like how they built squads around players and had their spine, right? I'm not trying to defend Rashford by any means before anyone thinks I am. But do you expect a player to have a squad built around him, and know what the plan is when year after year things keep changing?
Not built around him, but I'd expect to see more from
him. Be part of the major plan.
He's got to do more, man. He's got to
do more. He's got to do more. There's self-responsibility, absolutely. But then we have to also put in the other factors that happen around. If you go into training and not knowing what's going to happen, and that's under whichever manager you want to go under, because he's had a good year under Mourinho and then one bad one. He had a good year under Ole and then one average one. And he had a fantastic year, his best ever year as a United player, under Ten Hag, and then he had one horrendous year. And the problems keep happening, and these managers keep talking about the ownership, and you now hear Ten Hag has been beefing about losing Scott McTominay, and he wanted Amrabat, and they said no, and now he's at Fenerbahce. Like, so even as a player, you come into training, you don't know, your manager doesn't know where he's going. The squad doesn't know where they're going, they're coming or going. So you as yourself, even if you should go out there,
he's still got to take some of the ownership though. He's still got to pay himself.
Absolutely,
do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. He should.
That's what I think anyway. But
you're right. He should do. But again, if you come to an environment and you don't know who you're playing with week in and week out, what do you do? Me personally, I don't think he should be benched anyway. He's been in crap form for far too long. But that's another conversation.
What does Basil? What the Damon? What do you think?
What do I think of what?
About
he's enjoying his copper.
I know exactly. About Rashford. Should Rashford be doing more? Is it wrong to kind of criticize single him out?
I don't think it's not right to criticize. He needs criticizing because at the end of the day, it's professional football. Everyone needs criticizing, but I think it's a mentality thing with him. If he just got down his head and he fights back to fans, doesn't he, a lot, and he's like this and that and that. Just fucking get on with it, man. Get your head down. Be a professional football. You won't see the likes of Roy Keane do this back in the day, where if you've got abuse from fans, they just get on with it and move on. Then that sets from the class players to the world class players is that mindset. And if he doesn't sort that out, then he's never going to become what he thinks he is, really. Because when you're going up against people like Salah, who's doing it consistently every single season, even like Heung-min Son and other wingers like that, you can't have the same consistency. You can't do it. Like you said, you saw it being classed like a few times, and then season after just being absolutely dreadful. You can't keep. Obviously, there needs structure around him, but at the end of the day, there's players been in the past where they've had shit teams around them and they've done well. It literally is all mentality with him. I think he's a decent player in there, but he needs to sort himself out big time. And it's going to be too late by the time he does sort himself out.
He's 27 now, isn't it? So
27,
now or never. Now or never.
What you saying, Basil? You kind of agreeing or disagreeing with what's been said so far?
No, I kind of agree. Some of it comes down to mentality. It's a combination of two things. One, football education, and two, just having the right manager to guide him and utilize his abilities. Because the issue you have with Rashford is I've never rated Rashford wholly as a player, because I think the two things that for me stand out is his football intelligence at times. So some of the decision making he makes during the games, whether to pass, whether to hold on to the ball for too long, is quite atrocious. And then sometimes his end product is just so inconsistent. And this comes from football education. Now, Rashford is a frustrating player because he has the attributes, which is where people have the frustration with. But he's never, ever put it together properly. We've seen glimpses of it during his career, but he's never put it down. And I don't understand these modern day footballers, because if I look back before the generation before him, you see players with the talent kind of flourishing and developing as years go by. And I've found with this generation, there isn't that desire to improve themselves. And you can tell sometimes when they're criticized, the response is back. Like, for instance, when Nicholas Jackson, Obi Mikel talks about, his finishing is poor, Chelsea will look for a new striker. You saw his reaction telling him to shut up, instead of him to actually listen to what he's saying, look at his weaknesses and work on it in the training ground. And I think that epitomizes this generation in terms of Rashford has the attributes, but has never, I just feel he doesn't do enough in the training ground to kind of put it all together. And you look at someone like Ronaldo, who was a supremely talented player when he joined Man United, but at some point it clicks. And it goes back to what Damon is saying, mentality. It clicks and he says, I don't just want to be good. I want to be great. I want to be remembered as one of the legends in the game. And you hear about how he talks about he goes into the training ground, or even hear what his peers says, goes back to the training ground, puts in the hard work, the hard shift to work on all the things that he deems as weaknesses, and look at the player he becomes. I don't think from an assumption, I don't get that from Rashford, that he wants to improve himself. And then my final point, going back to the managers, I don't think any managers kind of find a way to kind of help Rashford improve. Personally, I think what they've done is they've kind of hung him out there to kind of allow him to try and figure it out without providing him guidance. And I think sometimes this is where you kind of need managers to kind of be coaches too, to be able to coach players and educate them on certain things as to, this is going wrong, try doing this. This is where you need to improve yourself. I'm an Arsenal fan. I look back at Wenger, and I look back at when I hear some of the players and how they talk about Wenger, and Wenger educating them on certain things to make them become a much better player. And I think Rashford hasn't really had that throughout his career, someone to kind of sit him down, spot his weaknesses, and help coach him to be better at the things he's not currently doing well on a consistent basis. So I think it's a combination of things, and it's just frustrating because he does have the attributes, but he just hasn't put it together.
Mm-hmm. So interesting. I agree with everything everyone said so far. I think it's a combination of things, and I think he's definitely got a player in there, and he's got to apply his best quality is better, but also learn on things that he's got weaknesses in and be able to build the capability on them as well. So I think there's a mixture of things in there, but not just to single him out, because I think Casemiro was really poor on Sunday.
He's been hung up in time, man.
I was going to say what Kojo.
It's just that in the midfield. No. I'm not. Again, this is not absolving blame of him. He had a shocker. His pass for the first goal, horrendous. Losing the ball for the second goal, horrendous. Like responsibility should be taken again.
100%, man.
This is why I made that point about the half and it not being better after he went off, because when there's no structure, see, look, okay, I'm not. When I say these things, not a defense. When he played in Real Madrid, and obviously the quality was a lot higher.
Yeah,
but when he played in Real Madrid, Modric and Kroos. But regardless of who was next to him, everyone knew what their role is. Everyone knew where they should be. Everyone knew what they're doing. So their position and the role and everything they had to play, they knew where they had to be. They knew what the game was in that midfield. right? At United, and you can go back to Matic, Herrera, Schneiderlin, Pogba, who should have Fellaini. Is there anyone else I've forgotten? I'm sure I've forgotten lots of people. The one thing that we've complained about since 2014 to 2024, it's a 10-year anniversary, guys. It's a 10-year anniversary. We're here now. See, I'm doing Eddie Murphy fingers for the people that can't see me. Eddie Murphy fingers. We're here. Yeah, it's a 10-year anniversary, guys. Yeah. We've always spoken about one thing in Man United's midfield, and it's the structure. Why is there always such a big gap? Why is there a gap between this and that? There's no gap between the midfield and the defense. And when the goalkeeper has the ball, the defenders are not showing for the ball. If you're supposed to be passing the ball at the back, you got to pass and goalkeeper like Onana. It's because there's no structure there. And this has been an issue throughout. And this is the point I'm trying to make about the players. And I keep saying I will never take away self-responsibility. Because when you make individual errors, they're for you to analyze. It's for you to look and say, what did I do wrong? Absolutely. But if your team does not have a structure set, so when you go on the pitch, you know where you're supposed to be in and out of possession, things like Liverpool are going to continue to happen. And it's just a recycle. Like what you asked me the question earlier, Vio, you said you don't know what United are doing. What are they trying to do? I'm telling you right now, 80% of the players are also asking themselves, what the hell am I supposed to be doing here? Am I supposed to be here? Is there a player supporting me?
That's a
Manu and Casemiro are partners, and when you look at when they lose possession, one is in Ghana and the other one is in South Africa. Bro, it is baffling. But look, it's just you're gonna see more of it. It's just what happens. Man United win games is because the other teams just don't take their chances, and you're gonna see more of that season. What it is, man.
Well, Liverpool certainly took their chances, so we've got to credit them for that. They done well. They played some really good football. Damon, what was your thoughts from a Liverpool perspective in terms of United's downfall, but obviously something that Liverpool was able to take very much advantage of?
What happened Sunday was pretty much like a guy coming round to your house, taking his shoes off, putting on your slippers, going upstairs, running a bath, taking your towel out, enjoying a nice big shit before the bath, quick brush of the teeth before his bath as well, get out the bath, use literally all the shampoo and the soap that's left, you've got nothing left, putting on your clothes and just walking back out of the house, fresh as a daisy.
You're a scrounger.
Basically, pretty much like a squatter. A squatter coming around, just doing his business in your house and then leaving, fully fed and everything. That's what pretty much happened. One thing I will say for my United fans, if they do, what's going wrong at the moment in terms of, obviously the Glazers above, not good. Getting them out as perfect start and starting to ease out like the problems at the club in terms of players as well. But Ten Hag is a major, major problem. You talk about Casemiro making a mistake. Manu made a mistake against McAllister, got bumped off. Dillick made a mistake. And Arne, I'm not even going to say about him. There's nothing in that guy.
No, please,
I don't even know how he's even a keeper. I can't understand. The guy can't shot stop. The
when
guy
Salah
can't
scored
his
Positioning is poor.
His awareness is shocking. His awareness as a keeper is shocking.
And it's mad because David De Gea would probably save a lot of those shots that were the other day.
He'd have kept him in it. But what really outed Man United was not the game itself, was the 2 minutes that Arne Slot talked after the game. It basically brought down how United were easy to beat. He even said like Casemiro had made the mistake, but the reason why I capitalised on that is because your fullbacks were bombing forward and you left massive gaps at the back. He kept Salah and Diaz high up on the wings, knowing that was going to happen. He knew that was going to happen. Hence the goals. The goals came from wide areas because we capitalised on the holes that Ten Hag's tactics left. And Gary Neville and Roy Keane had an argument about this, and Gary Neville said, "Well, that's not wrong with that tactic." And Keane said, "Hang on a second. When we were playing, there's no way my back to goal of that you would have been bombing upfield. There's no way." And Gary Neville says, "Yes, I was." I couldn't believe what Gary Neville said. I said, "Yes, I was." And Keane were like, "No, you wasn't, Gary." He wasn't doing that. Ten Hag, he's been there 3 years now, and yet, like we're saying, we can't see a style. You can have shit players, right, and see styles. I've seen teams play in lower league of lower league football have a style of play. You can see the style of play. You saw even like going back to Brendan Rodgers when he was Swansea manager in Championship. You saw that style of play at that point. When Klopp took over at Liverpool, straight away people say, it took Klopp 4 years to win the Premier League. It took Klopp 3 years to get into the Champions League final. He had a fucking shit ass team. He came in with Carriers, fucking Lovren at the back. You know what I'm saying? They only had Coutinho and Firmino that were there really at that point. But instantly, in the first 2 months of him being there, you could see a style of play, see what he wanted to do, especially if he got the players that he to do it even better. The fact that I can't see still yet, I don't know what Ten Hag style of play is. Is it counter-attack football? Is it possession? I haven't actually a clue. It changes every single week. And Slot coming in now, and I can't see the Slot style of play has been three games, professional sort of proper games, and I can see a style of play with Slot. It's possession based. It's trying to control games. It's a bit more overload in terms of attack as well. That's scary for Man United. The fact that I do think there's going to be a change at Man United quick because because Ratcliffe's a Man United fan. He'll hurt them more. I mean, I can't see KJ's face, but
I'm thanking God.
He's thanking God.
See KJ's face because at the end of the day, I think Ratcliffe will change him immediately because he wanted to change him in the summer. He wanted him out. And I think it won't be long before, but it shouldn't take that so long. It shouldn't take loss after loss after loss for him to do that. I don't think. But again, who do you get out there? I mean, Tuchel possibly. If you go for Tuchel, there's a chance for there with that. But
thing is, he got a new deal, so I think they're going to give him time. He's got a new. Is it a 2-year deal he got now or something like that? So they're going to give him time. I think he's got to Christmas.
They could go back to Pochettino.
Well, I think Ruud van Nistelrooy. I think that's why he was brought in. I said that. I think Joe, or I think to someone. I think he was brought in for that reason. Just because it's a bit mad that he's there. Obviously, he knows the connection between Ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooey already. Ruud van Nistelrooy knows the club. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in, even on an interim basis till the end of the season or something like that. Come November, December. I think that would be the time you want to sack your manager. I hate seeing manager get sacked after the transfer window shuts in the winter window. I think if you want to sack a manager, do it before the winter window. You might not bring anyone in, but you might bring a player in on loan, or you might start getting your ideas together for who you might bring in the summer. Start trying to offload 1 or 2 players in the winter window. So I think for me, it would make sense to bring in someone that's going to fit how the team is set up, or the players that you've got right now, I should say. I don't know. I do worry about United, but...
So I don't know how Damon felt about when Slot came in, because I'm not sure what you felt about Slot, if you knew how much you knew about him, because I wasn't really watching Eredivisie last year to really have an opinion. But we've obviously spoken about how there's no plan at United. The difficulty whether you're an interim or a permanent coming in is if these players have not performed well for God knows how long and haven't had a plan. How do you implement that confidently with the personnel that you have, apart from obviously the newer players? That's the question. But me personally, I think if Ruud comes in, Rashford is done. Players like that are done.
Yeah, that's what it needs, though. Like that's what
Rashford needs that makeup call.
Yeah, facts. Yeah.
That's why I like Maresco. I know people. It's early days for him, but if he doesn't like the player or he doesn't think the player's going to fit how he wants to play, he's not playing you. You're not playing.
It's the same.
You're not playing with the first team.
Yeah.
So, and I know it's harsh reality to a lot of these players, and Chelsea probably a bad example because a lot of them are on 6, 7, 8 year death row contracts. But the point I'm making is that if you're not in his team, you're not playing. You're not training with us. You better go find a club to go and quickly get a club and find one before the window shuts, because you're not in my plans. And I think it needs someone to come in and do that to a lot of these United players. And like you just said then, Damon, as well, about Endo. Arsenal, they wanted to get rid of Nketiah. They were determined to get rid of him. He ended up at Palace. like sometimes you got these players feel like they've got the ball in their court all the time, and for majority of the time they have, but when you realize there's an international tournament coming up or something coming up that you want to be part of and you represent your country, and the manager saying, you're not in my plans, and I've got a 3-year deal like Sterling, then you better find a club quick, because if you don't, you ain't kicking ball with us. And you're going to be sat there at Cobham with the under 21s, the development squad. It ain't going to look good for you. So I think it needs someone like that to come in and do what they've done. And Arne Slot, I think, has come in and he's done an amazing job at Liverpool so far. I think he's come in, he's not changed too much. There was also going to be a lot of pressure whoever came in, but he's been able to stamp his own little authority and done his own little thing. And he's lucky that he's started the season well, because I think had he hadn't, then obviously we're talking a whole different story. But he started the season well. There's still time for them to have bumps in the road for Liverpool. I'm sure they will. Every club's going to have that this season. But so far, so good, I think, for Liverpool. And they look frightening going forward. Diaz has hit the good form. Jota hits good form. There's still a question mark for me about Gakpo, but Salah, you know what Salah's going to give you as well. So I can't fault them, man.
Okay. 1 second. Can we put some respect on this guy's name as well, Mohamed Salah? This guy, right? I
think we all respect him, though.
Great. And no, I'm saying you guys. I'm saying there's a lot of disrespect for this guy in terms of general, proper media, mainstream media and things like that. This guy is the greatest winger that ever play in this league.
Oh, that's
it, and that's.
Sorry, no, I lost connection there. What did you say?
Did you actually?
No, seriously, I lost connection there. What did you say?
It is the greatest winger in the Premier League.
Nah,
and I'm being deadly serious now. No, this guy, right? Honestly, is now in the talk of being like up there with Steven Gerrard in terms of Liverpool legend. That's,
for Liverpool, 100%.
No, I'm talking Premier League as well. No, this guy's numbers is just ridiculous. This guy's come in and
Who would you say has been a better winger?
No, I'm not. I'm not disagreeing with him. I'm just saying it's a big statement to make when I need to sit down and have a think about that one.
I think he can make that statement because I think
the only ones that touch him, what? Ronaldo, Hazard, Giggs.
Hazard's not in it. Hazard. Forget about Hazard.
I wouldn't even put those guys near him.
No. Listen, I said earlier on, either today or yesterday, there was a tweet, and there was like a top 3, and I chose Salah. I'm not disagreeing at all. Let's not jump the gun a little bit. That's what I'm saying.
There's no jumping gun here. This is seven consecutive seasons of this. There's no jumping gun here.
Individually, I think he's definitely up there in terms of wingers. Probably one of the best. Probably. One off. I like to say one off. I don't like to just say the best because.
Whichever winger, but think about whichever winger would you compare him to? Because I don't think there is another winger. When you look at his consistency year in year out to score goals and to create goals, obviously yes, maybe aesthetically may not be pleasing to everyone's eye. So if you put him up against a Hazard, yes, Hazard aesthetically is more pleasing to watch on the eye and ball control than Salah. When you look at his output, no other winger compares. I wouldn't even put Giggs there. Ronaldo didn't have enough seasons in the Premier League where he was putting up his high numbers to compare. It was really I think I was saying maybe the last 2 seasons where you start to see the best of Ronaldo. The years prior were development years where we kind of saw more the trickle rather than the end output. So when I think about wingers that have graced the Premier League, and you can even put Bell there too, but even then he had more of a free role at Tottenham.
I don't disagree with that. I think he's.
I think it'll be very hard to argue that when all is said and done with Mo Salah's career, that he wouldn't be classified as the greatest winger in the Premier League, considering how long he's consistently done it for.
He's still fuming, right? He had Mohamed Salah at his club.
No, not at all. No. It's not that, because I could say that about a number of players, and some of them went on to be brilliant players, Kevin De Bruyne, and some of them ended up being Winston Bogarts. So it can go one or 2 ways. Do you know what I mean? It's either they go really well or they don't go well. I think for what Mohamed Salah's done, not just in England, but when he went abroad as well, and he played in Italy, I think he's done amazing. I think the fact that, and with him, he keeps himself in that Ronaldo kind of physique in terms of he can probably play till, another 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in the Premier League. He could play beyond 40. I don't know. He's one of them. So, but this goes back to
It's his last season.
But this is what we were saying last. This is what we were saying on the last one, where we were saying that to have a player like that, how can you not try and nail him down to a contract? And
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? It's mind-boggling. The fact that he had to come out on Sunday and say that, I know he didn't mean it's his last season. He's basically saying, do you know what I mean? Like if the contract comes on the table, I'm probably going to more than likely sign it as long as the money's right and whatever else. But for him to have to come out and say that tells us that the club aren't even thinking. If that's me and I'm at Liverpool, I'm looking around thinking, who's dropped the ball here? Because we need to get him signed up. But don't know, man. Crazy.
But Virgil said it as well. Virgil said, the situation's the same at the moment in his contract because no one's even spoken to him about it.
Yeah, but
the report. It's our club is just run. It's all they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. We've just forgotten. You know what I feel about the owners. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But, and Trent, there was a report 2 weeks ago about Trent. Apparently, the report said that would stop keeping an eye on the Trent contract. Would what's the word? What's the word now? We lost. I can't think of the word now. Can't think what it said. It's about the eye was like not on it. They didn't realize it was going down that quick. And they've got 1 year left.
Didn't realize. God mercy.
Big professional football club.
Like, this is what I'm saying about our owners.
Man.
That's football manager behavior. You got a player like, oh wait, damn, his contract's running out. Now we're going to press discuss contract.
And it's too late now. He's already signed with. He's
it just says Trent sounds with Real Madrid.
Pre-contract's already done. You're like, shit, I forgot to sign him up. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy. But Baz, what do you think about Liverpool? Where do you think, how far Liverpool can go this season? Do you feel that with Arne Slot, they are the closest ones to rival City? I know Arsenal done it the last 2 seasons, but do you feel Liverpool are back kind of in that competing for the league stage this year?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've never ever doubted Liverpool because they still have the same competitive players. Yes, there's a new manager, but it's not as if they've lost players. I guess, obviously, Liverpool fans have more or less complained that they haven't strengthened to at least help their case a bit, considering, the manner as to which maybe they kind of fell apart last season, which is disappointing. But they still have the same players who, and it goes back to what Damon mentioned earlier when he talked about Rashford mentality. When I look at these Liverpool players, they have the mentality of champions. They have the mentality that they want to win games. You can even see some of their reactions when they concede goals or they lose games. You can see it from the likes of Van Dijk or Mo Salah and co. That these guys are unhappy and they know that this is unacceptable and below the standards we expect. So I always knew Liverpool were going to compete. And I think Liverpool, once again, with City and maybe Arsenal, will be the ones challenging City and will be the ones up there again. I don't think they have enough to maybe win it, just because I don't think maybe they have the... It's a weird one because I was going to say I don't think they have the squad depth, but then technically they kind of do have depth in their squad.
I agree.
In parts, yeah.
I think.
Yeah, in parts. So I think they have a good squad. It's just whether they have enough in that final part of the season, maybe when injuries kick in or maybe when players become a bit fatigued, whether they have enough to actually go in the final lap, go across the line and win things, which I don't think they have. But I'll say this, I've been really impressed with Arne Slot and how he's implemented his ideas and ideals on a team. And this not also goes from the start of the season, but pre-season, because I watched a few of their games pre-season.
Yeah.
And I must say they looked very, very impressive. And I was surprised as to how quickly he was able to kind of get his ideas across to the team and how the team were able to kind of try and follow and implement it and implement the ideals he was kind of communicating to them. And once again, this season, I've been impressed in terms of how he's managing the games. There's a lot more control under him than there was under Jurgen Klopp. You can see there's a bit more tactical nuance to parts of his game. And they do look a bit more defensively solid. And I think that comes from the start because they're looking to control games. Because of Klopp's style, we allowed him to kind of exploit the spaces and attack Liverpool a bit more than maybe some of the fans wanted. But I'll say this: 3 games and the preseason games, he looked very impressive. I think he communicates well, also in the press conferences. And like I said, it's still the same Liverpool players, and we know what these players are capable of. So yeah, there's no surprise that they've looked impressive, and they will be there competing and pushing whoever it is at the top of the league or whoever's challenging for the league title and also the trophies. Liverpool will be there pushing each and every one of those teams for this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I agree with you. I think watching Liverpool pre-season, watching them their first 3 games this season so far, you can see that if they can, for me, the one thing, and I think I said it in the preview, was the injuries for me. If they can keep their squad fit, then they are going to be pushing for the league and pushing for other major trophies because they've got the right manager, they've got the right players in. Obviously, I know. For Gravenberch, for me, there was all this talk about Zubimendi, but how old's Gravenberch? 22, 23. He's come in. He just looks like he should be playing there alongside McAllister. He looks like he's been doing it for years. He looks so comfortable. And on Sunday, he was everywhere on that pitch. He was just everywhere on the pitch.
Best player on the pitch that day.
Yeah, he was brilliant. So we have to credit him for that 100%. He's got things right there. But let's move on. I think we've out talked United. I know Kojo's probably wanted me to move on about 20 minutes ago, but
I told you I'm calm, my guy. I'm not back. When Arsenal lose a game, bring Basil on this show. See the real Basil.